If you wanna be crypto savvy, we can help you skip those valleys. Let's rally, yeah. If you wanna be crypto savvy, we can let investments tally. Let's rally, yeah. Crypto savvy.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Be Crypto Savvy. You made it. It's Monday. Guess what we're doing? We're looking at news and updates. We're looking at the Bitcoin chart. We're looking at the Ethereum chart. And we are, for the first time ever, going to jump into the range report provided by Genie.io. Now, if you don't know about this report, it is compiled from artificial intelligence and machine learning. So stick around for that. You're not going to want to miss it. Now, before we do that, I did have somebody say, hey, you should put yourself into the videos a little bit more. Makes it a little bit more entertaining. So I'm going to try that. I'm not really a put myself out there type of person, even though it might seem like that with the YouTube channel. That's even that in itself is kind of an outside of the box type of thing for me. I mean, look, I don't even know what to do with my hands right now. I feel like Will Ferrell. Anyhow, so I'm going to try that. Obviously, I'll need a new webcam because that thing ain't cutting it. That's not good quality, right? So I'll have to upgrade that. So bear with me in the meantime. This is actually my kid's gaming headset. So I already was planning on upgrading that because the sound is, let's face it, it's not good. For some reason today, I can't get rid of the echoey sound. So I really appreciate you bearing with me and dealing with that. That will get taken care of. I promise we're working on it. So as far as the show today, let's get into this. Let's jump into the news and updates first. Let's do it. Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy repays Silvergate loan and buys 6,500 Bitcoin. MicroStrategy co-founder and former CEO Michael Saylor took to Twitter on March 27th to announce that the firm had repaid its $205 million loan to Silvergate at a 22% discount. The company also acquired a significant stash of Bitcoin, purchasing 6,455 Bitcoin for an average price of $23,238. I do believe this is substantially the lowest price that they've bought a large amount of Bitcoin at. I know that they used to buy back up into like the $60,000 and $40,000 range because they were buying on the downswing. Bitcoin falls after CFTC sues crypto exchange Binance for allegedly breaking trading rules. Cryptocurrencies dropped on Monday morning after the CFTC sued Binance, the biggest crypto exchange in the world, for allegedly violating trading rules. The price of Bitcoin slid 2.5% to 27,000, which it actually ended up dipping into the 26,000s, which we'll cover in a moment. Many knew Binance has a bullseye on its back, which I've actually covered in the past as well. Something to keep an eye on here moving forward. Okay, we are currently looking at Bitcoin on the daily time frame, which you can see up here. Now, I started recording this video in the morning, and I had some personal obligations that I was taking care of, and since then I really kind of started over because what I had already was talking about ended up happening as far as us dipping back inside of our expanding symmetrical triangle here. And now remember, this is a support line, this top one here that dates back going into October. What was that? October 13th was where this support line started, and we've tested this multiple times as resistance and support. Currently, we've been working up here and trying to break into this $28,500 range, kind of break past that. And I have mentioned that when we break past this level, now when you zoom out, just as a reminder what this level is, this is dating way back into January of 2021, where we first started using this level as support, and we bounced off it again back here in like the summer of 21, where we ended up reaching our all-time highs. So kind of getting back into this, you can see how this is going to end up being an extremely hard level of resistance to break through, which is why we are getting rejected right now. Now, I have mentioned it briefly in the past, but my prediction, the pattern that Bitcoin has shown me in the past is that a lot of times it'll take 3 opportunities trying to break through a resistance level before it's successful. So that's kind of what I'm anticipating. And, I do believe that we will kind of drop back in and test some of these lower zones in our symmetrical triangle, and perhaps even test our all-time lows, which I have mentioned several times over. So why don't we leave Bitcoin there and move on to Ethereum? Now we're going to stick to the daily time frame here while we check out Ethereum, and you can see that we had been rejected earlier in the week from the top of this expanding symmetrical triangle, and we are now testing the bottom part of this resistance band around this $1,715 zone. And personally, I think we're going to end up falling through and probably retest closer to this 1500 to 1650 area here. You can see we've had a lot of action going back pretty far. And personally, my opinion is in the near term, I don't see us falling much farther than 1500 to 1400. We have a vast amount of support there, I believe. Now, I do believe that we will most likely fill in some of these fair value gaps. Now, if you aren't familiar with what the fair value gaps are, you can check out some of our previous videos. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I really want to jump into the range report, which we're going to do right now. Bum bum bum, the Genie Range Report! Yes, I promise I will not do that every time. You can count on me for that. So before we jump into this, if you have gotten anything of value from this video or even have just been mildly entertained, why not throw a pound onto that like button and help us out, or throw a comment. Any kind of engagement like that not only helps us as a channel know if we are giving you good content in a great delivery, but it also helps us with that YouTube algorithm getting out to a wider range of audience. So that is really greatly appreciated, and let's jump into this report. Now, what I want to focus on today is going through the range report more in depth of what's actually compiled within the report versus what the report's given us as data. That way we have a better understanding of what the report is moving forward to where we can use it as a better tool in our tool bag. So first things first, you'll see that the price of both Bitcoin and Ethereum is listed down here, as well as the movement so far today. Now, if you would have caught our video on Friday, you would know that the Genie team is also releasing several more coins that will all be included in this range report of price prediction. Now, I do know what these coins are, and I am very excited to be able to cover those as well in our TA videos. So if you're excited for them to add more altcoins to their range report, why don't you throw a comment down below and let us know what coins you hope are listed. Now over here you can see that they have news and events, and this is a very important section when you are following any kind of commodity that you might be trading. Now you can see how just amazingly important this stuff is. I mean, check this out. I mean, Be Crypto Savvy is incorporating the Genie Range Report into his trading analysis coverage on YouTube. I mean, could you get any better information than this? So what I'm going to do for the rest of this video is just basically run through their report pretty quickly, and you can see if you hover over the indicator, they already have a description and just kind of how it plays its role within the report. So what better way to describe the report than in their own words? So I'm going to do that for today, and then that'll give us a good understanding of how this report is compiled so we can use it as a tool effectively moving forward. Now you can see you can either click Bitcoin or Ethereum to get that report, and we're going to stick to Bitcoin just for the purpose of this video. So let's go ahead and run through these. Bitcoin volatility forecast and opportunity zone and relative value. You can see the forecast is your pink shaded region, your opportunity zone is the blue, and the relative value is the green line. The volatility forecast shows the daily projected high and low volatility price bands for the asset over the upcoming 7 days. This machine learning generated forecast is driven by the behavior patterns learned from the various historical and on-chain data points spanning 3 years and the latest price information over the last 8 years. The opportunity zone displays the price areas where Genie's machine learning price model forecasts the asset may represent a value opportunity to a trader. When the actual daily price of the asset edges below the lower edge of the projected opportunity zone, then it may represent significant value to a prospective buyer. Conversely, when the actual daily price of the asset edges above the upper edge of the opportunity zone, then the asset may represent a significant value to the prospective seller. For the relative value line is where Genie's machine learning model forecasts where the average price is best represented based on the behavior patterns learned from the various historical on-chain data points spanning those 3 years, as well as the latest price information over the past 8. The relative value line is most useful as a medium-term indicator of value rather than volatility. Over here, we have actually the same thing, just in a numerical graph format. You can see your opportunity zone right here is the same that you're going to see over here. And then you've got your high and low, which would be your forecasted pink shaded area, and your relative value points. The Bitcoin hourly candles. The candlestick chart represents the open, high, low, and close prices for the asset in hourly periods over the previous 7 days. If the hourly opening price for the asset is lower than the closing price, then this upward movement will be shown as a green candle. If the hourly opening price for the asset is higher than the closing price, then this downward movement will be shown as a red candle. Upper wicks shown in the asset's highest price during the hourly long period. Bottom wicks show the asset's lowest price during the hourly long period. Bitcoin hourly RSI over 7 days. This RSI chart is a relative strength index chart, and it reacts to the speed and size of the change in the asset's price movements over the hour-long periods across the 7-day span. The position of this oscillating line can aid you in identifying whether the asset is regarded as underbought or overbought. When the RSI reading is at 30 or below, it signals underbought. When the RSI reading is at 70 or above, it signals overbought. A trend reversal may be confirmed by the RSI when it shows a divergence, which we'll cover in later videos. The Bitcoin daily RSI. This RSI chart is a relative strength index chart driven by the speed and size of the change in the asset's price movements over the past 24-hour periods across 30 days. The position of the oscillating line can aid you in identifying, the same as the last one. When the RSI reading is at 30 or below, it signals underbought, while when the RSI reading is at 70 or above, it signals overbought. Next, we've got the Bitcoin MACD over 30 days. When the MACD line rises above 0, it is considered bullish. When dropping below 0, it is seen as bearish. If the MACD line crosses above the signal line, then it indicates an upward momentum, whereas if the MACD line falls below the signal line, that indicates a downward momentum. The MACD chart also contains a histogram that further illustrates the daily distances between the MACD and the signal lines. Jumping into the Bitcoin stochastic over 30 days, the position of the oscillating lines can aid you in identifying whether the asset is regarded as underbought or overbought. When the stochastic reading is at 20 or below, that signals underbought. When the stochastic reading is at 80 or above, that signals overbought. If the stochastic reading drops from below 80 or from above 80 to below 50, that indicates that you might have a further movement in price volatility to the downside. Whereas if you move from below the 20 to above the 50, that signals that the price may continue moving upward. When the two stochastic lines cross, reversal signals are also generated. If the stochastic K line crosses below the stochastic D line, a possible sell signal is generated, while if the stochastic D line crosses below the stochastic K line, that's a possible buy signal. Jumping into the Bitcoin average price over 30 days, this average price chart displays the average price of the asset for each 24-hour period over the span of 30 days. This chart incorporates market data from our proprietary data warehouse and in its calculations, and it takes into account the price movement within both candles and wicks. Bitcoin on balance volume. We are going to talk about this quite a bit more tomorrow as well. Volume is an important part of market component that every trader should factor in. The OBV is displayed as an oscillating line. When the volume on up days outstrips the volume on down days, then the OBV line rises, indicating that the buying pressure has increased. When both OBV and price are making higher highs and higher lows, the upward price trend is likely to continue. When volume on down days outstrips the volume on up days, then the OBV line descends, indicating that selling pressure has increased. When both OBV and price are making lower highs and lower lows, the downward price trend is likely to continue. over at the Bitcoin average directional price movement. Our average directional movement index chart, or ADX chart, is based on the asset's daily price range expansion across the span of 30 days. This incorporates market data from our proprietary data warehouse and displays as an oscillating line graph with a scale from 0 to 100. The position of the oscillating ADX line can aid you in identifying whether a trend is present, and if present, whether it is strong or weak. A rising ADX line indicates that the current trend is strengthening, whether that's a bullish or bearish trend. Conversely, a descending ADX line indicates that the current trend is weakening. Any reading below 20 signals that a trend is absent. Once the oscillating line breaks above 25, it is a signal that the commencement of a trend. From 25 to 50 is classified as a strong trend. 50 to 75 is a very strong trend, and 75 to 100 is an extremely strong trend. Bitcoin Ultimate Oscillator. The position of the oscillating line on this chart can aid you in identifying whether the asset is regarded as underbought or overbought. When the reading is at 30 or below, it signals underbought, increasing the possibility of a price reversal to the upside. When the reading is at 70 or above, it signals overbought, increasing the possibility of a price reversal to the downside. A trend reversal may be confirmed by the ultimate oscillator when it shows a divergence, where an asset's price moves one way and the oscillating line does not move in a similar direction. This may help traders decide their next move. Next, we have the parabolic SAR, which I don't use enough, admittedly. The chart features a price candlestick chart with overlaid dots either above or below the asset's price. Uptrend signals occur when the dots move from above the price to below the price and continue to appear below in a sustained manner. Downtrend signals occur when the dots move from below the price to above the price and continue to appear above in a sustained manner. Generally, 3 or more dots together, either above or below, increase the signal's strength as a confirmation. Fibonacci retracement. This Bitcoin Fibonacci retracement chart is a useful tool for traders seeking to identify support and resistance levels for an asset's price. The tool consists of a 30-day price candlestick chart for the asset overlaid with the potential retracement lines. These horizontal lines are drawn intersecting the trend lines at the levels of 0, 38.2, 50, 61.8, and 100%. The lines are based upon the mathematical relationship between numbers in the famed Fibonacci sequence. The Fibonacci sequence is something that I do really like, but it is very involved, so we will be going over that more in depth in the future. Next up, we've got Bitcoin candles with Hikaki over 90 days. This Hikaki pattern indicator chart helps traders anticipate breakouts in the asset's price movements. Hikaki patterns begin with a volatile move in the asset's price in the direction followed by a dramatic reversal. This twitch is dangerous for traders trying to predict upcoming price trajectory. Recognizing Hikaki patterns formation can be helpful in avoiding this trap. Genie's Hikaki pattern indicator chart takes the guesswork out of recognizing this particular candlestick setup. Clearly labeled Hikaki pattern flags take some of the stress out of anticipating market pivots. I personally haven't ever used the Hikaki candles myself, so I am looking forward to that, but that is a brief description of what those are. And last but not least, we are jumping into the Kopot curve over 90 days. This Kopot curve chart is a smooth momentum indicator that highlights shifts in the long-term trend of an asset. Many traders consider this indicator helpful when it comes to the task of identifying long-term buying opportunities. When the oscillating line moves from below zero line to above it, that is a bullish signal for traders seeking an entry. Conversely, when the oscillating line moves from above the zero line to below it, that indicates a bearish move and maybe ahead of a trader should consider exiting their positions. Weaker buy signals are produced when the oscillating line positioned above the zero line makes a move down towards the zero line but turns upward again before crossing into the negative territory. Weaker signals are produced when the oscillating line positioned below the zero line makes a move up towards the zero line but turns downward again before crossing into positive territory. Since the Kopot curve is a long-term lagging indicator, it is recommended to consult additional indicators within the range report as extra confirmations when you enter and exit points.
And then the last part of the report is just the historical data where it gives you the Bitcoin forecast versus the actual and relative value over the course of the past 30 days, as well as the MAPE, the mean absolute percentage error, given the accuracy. All right, folks, this ended up being a little bit longer than I anticipated, but it was a lot of information. So I appreciate you for sticking around, and we will catch you in the next video.
Comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe.